Discover 12 spine-chilling ghost legends from Indiana. Unexplained horrors exposed. In the quiet town of Maplewood, Indiana, shadows whisper secrets that send shivers down spines and chill the bones of those who dare to listen. Clara, a single mother, finds herself struggling through the long nights of her late shift at the local diner while raising her 2 children, 10-year-old Lily and her adventurous 8-year-old brother, Jacob. They live in the modest home that once belonged to her late parents, a place heavy with memories but now steeped in a strange unease. Lately, whispers squirm in the corners of her mind, voices she can't quite grasp. Objects seem to shift in the night, leaving her to question her sanity. In her small town, she feels the weight of her neighbors' furtive glances, their hushed tones, like secrets she's not meant to hear. The clock ticks, but the shadows around her seem to move in slow, sinister silhouettes. One evening at the diner, a table of patrons spoke in frantic tones about the legends that shrouded Maplewood like a thick fog. They shared terrifying tales of the abandoned schoolhouse on the town's edge, a place once alive with laughter that had faded into haunting silence. Its dark past echoed with whispers of malevolent spirits, reminders of tragedies that had clawed at the town's heart. Clara's stomach twisted as their words sunk in. Could it be true? And were those ghosts responsible for the chill creeping through her home? Before she could shake off the dread, she caught her children eavesdropping on one of her late-night conversations. Their innocent faces lit up with excitement. "Can we go, Mom? Please?" Lily begged, and while Clara felt a rush of panic, Jacob's curiosity was unstoppable. Against her better judgment, she let them run with the idea, fearing she might crush their adventurous spirits. But a storm brewed outside, and as the heavy raindrops began to pound, Clara's stomach knotted tighter. After closing the diner that night, Clara's heart plummeted as she rushed home, realizing her kids were nowhere in sight. She called their names, her voice trembling, but all that came back was an eerie silence. The darkness inside the house pressed down on her like a weight, a cold chill enveloping her as shadows flitted past her, whispering frantically just out of reach. It was a shriek of terror in the dead of night, a mother's worst nightmare. Meanwhile, in the schoolhouse, Lily and Jacob crept through the unbearable silence, flashlights flickering against peeling walls, decorated with remnants of past lives. A sinister laugh echoed eerily, twisted and warped. Trembling, Jacob pressed forward, uncovering a hidden door that led them deeper into forgotten mysteries. Back in Maplewood, Clara learned about the sheriff, a man who had once been her ally. Whispers suggested his tie to those ghost tales, the malevolent spirit specters she now believed hunted her family. Corners were closing in, tightening like a noose around her heart. Could the very protector of their town be its greatest threat? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As Clara pushed further into the shadows of her fears, she had to confront the darkness crouched on the edges of her known world. Would she dare to follow the whispers into the heart of terror? Or would she lose everything to the sinister forces lurking about, waiting for a moment of weakness? The chant of impending doom grew closer, too real to ignore, and the ghosts of Maplewood were not finished with her yet. Clara's heart raced as she bolted toward the schoolhouse, each footstep echoing against her rising panic. The storm raged above, thunder cracking like bones breaking in the dark, lightning illuminating the path, only to expose deeper shadows lurking just out of sight. She could hardly think. Each breath felt like ice creeping into her lungs. Were her children really in that cursed place, or was this some cruel illusion crafted by the evil whispering at the corners of her mind? As she approached the schoolhouse, the door creaked open. An invitation or a taunt? Clara couldn't tell. She stepped inside, the air thick with dust and despair. Her flashlight flickered, casting tired beams over rotting wood and graphic remnants of children's drawings that now seemed warped and grotesque. The laughter that once echoed here was replaced by an unsettling silence, a silence that clawed at her sanity. "Lily! Jacob!" Her voice shattered the quiet. It hung in the air, vibrating with desperation. Every word felt like a plea to the dark, to whatever was hiding just beyond her sight. Shadows danced against the walls, twisting into malicious shapes that sent her heart skittering into overdrive. Suddenly, she heard it, a laugh, chilling and hollow, floating down the corridor as if the very walls were mocking her. Clara rushed forward as uncertainty bled into dread. She passed shattered glass and broken desks, her eyes scanning for any sign of her children. They could be caught, trapped in this nightmare while she faltered. As she reached a classroom, the door creaked open wider, revealing the faint glow of her children's flashlights. They were huddled together at the base of an old wooden cabinet, whispering secrets that sent shudders through Clara. Relief washed over her, nearly overpowering her fear. "Mom," Lily called, her voice brightening the darkness. But then Jacob stood up, worry creasing his small face. "There's something in here, Mom." "What do you mean?" Clara knelt beside them, breathless. The light danced wildly as they pointed toward the far corner of the room, where shadows twisted unnaturally. "It laughed," Jacob murmured, eyes wide and terrified. "We heard it, Mom. It told us to come closer." A chill gripped Clara, her skin prickled, and her instincts screamed at her. "No, we need to leave, right now." She took her children's hands, the warmth of their grip bringing her a fleeting sense of hope amidst this ocean of dread. But the shadows shifted again, unnaturally twisting, merging into a large form that seemed to laugh with a voice deep and taunting. It felt alive, hunger radiating from it like heat. Clara pulled her children close, trying to shield them, her heart hammering furiously. "Run!" she shouted, racing toward the exit. The laughter morphed into a scream, echoing through the halls as the darkness lunged after them, desperate to reclaim its lost playthings. They ran, feet pounding against the old wooden floor. But the closer they got to the door, the heavier the air felt, the more it pressed down. Finally, in a last surge of adrenaline, they barreled through the doorway into the storm-soaked night. Clara stumbled but kept moving, glancing back only to catch a glimpse. A shadowy figure halting just beyond the threshold, its eyes glinting with such malice it nearly stole her breath. Once safely outside, they collapsed into the muddy grass, panting. Clara held Lily and Jacob's faces in her hands, scanning them for evidence of any hidden wounds. "Are you both okay?" Just then, a deafening clap of thunder boomed overhead, shaking her core. A new darkness snaked out from the shadows of the schoolhouse, gathering like a dense fog. An overwhelming sense of dread reached out, pulling her back toward the school where it all began. Clara's heart raced anew, but this time it wasn't fear of the house that paralyzed her. It was the realization that the sheriff was missing too. Could the town itself be in collusion with the malevolence they had just escaped? Clara's thoughts raced as the shadows coiled closer, thickening around her like a living entity. And the laughter resumed, echoing faintly in her mind, a promise that this terror was far from over. Clara pulled Lily and Jacob behind her, a protective barrier against the shadows closing in. The storm had intensified, each flash of lightning revealing the schoolhouse still looming like a predator. "We have to go," she breathed, voice trembling. But her feet felt glued to the ground, the weight of the dark mist wrapping around her ankles like iron chains.
"Mom, it's coming!" Lily's voice sliced through the adrenaline fog. Clara glanced back just in time to see a writhing mass of shadow creeping from the schoolhouse's doorway, tendrils reaching out as if eager to taste the freedom of the stormy night. "Run!" she screamed, pushing her children forward. They sprinted toward the old road, where the path wound through a maze of towering trees that looked even more twisted in the darkness. Each step felt like wading through syrup, the air heavy with an oppressive force that made it hard to breathe. Suddenly, a guttural growl resonated from behind them, a sound that gnawed at her resolve. Clara's heart raced as she urged her children on. The laughter, now a cacophony of sinister delight, filled her ears, twisting into a horrible symphony that echoed along the path. She chanced a glance back, fear pooling in her stomach. The dark shape emerged, and with it an aura of cold that made her skin prickle. "Faster!" she shouted, her voice cracking. They plunged into the trees, branches clawing at them like skeletal hands. Where was the road? Where was safety? Lightning forked across the sky again, throwing harsh light onto the ground ahead. Clara saw an old shack, its door ajar, splintered timbers beckoning like a secret passage. It was a desperate choice, but they had no time. "In there!" she yelled, leading her children toward the shack's threshold. As they entered, the door slammed shut behind them, the sound echoing ominously. The inside was suffocatingly dark, the air thick with the scent of decay. Her flashlight flickered, casting erratic glimmers over the rotten wooden walls. Old furniture lay strewn about, chairs knocked over, tables coated in layers of dust. A faded photograph hung slightly askew on the wall, showing smiling faces that felt eerily out of place in such despair. "Where are we, Mom?" Jacob's small voice broke the stillness, trembling with fear. Clara knelt down, forcing herself to stay calm. "It's just a shack, honey. We need to find a way to block the door." Suddenly, the floor creaked ominously beneath them. Clara froze, sensing something in the atmosphere shift, like an electric charge before a storm. They were not alone. The laughter had returned, louder this time, swirling around them, but there was something else, a whispering, soft and sinister, laced with malice. They huddled together, shadows wrapping their outlines in an embrace of dread. "Mom, look!" Lily pointed toward the far corner, where the dim light struggled to reach. Clara's blood ran cold. Something moved there, writhing in the half-light, a figure cloaked in darkness. "Get back!" Clara shouted, shoving her children behind her. The figure lurched forward, twisting and contorting, eyes glowing with that same malevolence that had haunted them outside. The door rattled, echoing as if something pounded against it from the outside, something hungry and impatient. Panic surged through Clara. They could not stay here, but running back into the storm felt like plunging into the jaws of a beast. Each muffled thud against the door sent shivers racing down her spine. "Will it help if we close our eyes?" Jacob whispered, clutching Lily's hand tightly. Before Clara could respond, the laughter crescendoed, the door buckled, and the figure surged forward, breaking through the darkness. Clara's heart slammed against her ribcage, threatening to break free. What was real? What was coming for them? In that moment, with shadows closing in, she realized there might be no escape from this terror. "Over there!" Clara shouted, pointing towards a narrow cellar door in the corner, the last shred of hope flickering in the gathering darkness. But before they could move, the laughter distanced into a rumbling growl, drowning out her thoughts. Clara's breath hitched. Who was chasing them? And would they find out the truth of what lay in the town they once trusted? The darkness surged closer, a hungry void beckoning for their souls. Clara's instincts kicked in. "Jacob, Lily, follow me!" She dashed towards the cellar door, her heart pounding like a drum, as if it were warning her that time was slipping away. She grabbed the rusted handle and it clicked open, descending into an abyss of darkness. "Mom, What if it's worse down there? Lily cried, fear clawing at her voice. We don't have a choice, Clara shouted back, prying it open wider. The musty odor of earth filled her nostrils, a stark contrast to the decay in the shack. She glanced over her shoulder. The darkness behind them seemed to pulse, alive and insatiable. Now, she urged, pushing her children in, before following and slamming the door shut, sealing them in darkness. The air was thick and damp, a pressing weight against their lungs. Clara's flashlight flickered again, casting pale beams across the wooden stairs that spiraled down like a dark invitation. The laughter above now morphed into deep, throaty growls that curdled her stomach. The sound was maddening, alive. Keep moving, she instructed, her heart racing. The children followed closely, their soft footsteps echoing in the cramped space. The deeper they went, the colder it got, and Clara could feel her skin prickling, goosebumps rising as the shadows enveloped them. They reached a landing, the flashlight beam revealing a small room, walls lined with peeling wallpaper that seemed to shift in the low light. Old crates sat in the corner, dust cloaking them like forgotten memories. Clara turned to the kids, urgency washing over her. We need to find something to barricade the door. Lily began rummaging through the crates. Mom, this place is super creepy. What if it comes down here? Shh, Clara hushed, her voice barely a whisper, but the heavy atmosphere pressed against her. She grabbed a crate and wedged it by the cellar door, heart racing. Each thud felt like a countdown. Jacob's eyes widened as he peered into the shadows. What if there really are ghosts? What if— Enough, Clara snapped, trying to sound braver than she felt. But a cold chill ran down her spine, something primal warning her that they were not alone. Just then, a sudden thud echoed from above. The laughter stopped, replaced by a chilling silence that buzzed in their ears. Clara's heart dropped. Had they been found? It felt like the silence was watching them, waiting. They huddled together, the flashlight flickering as if it too sensed danger. Clara held the kids tighter, breathing steadily. "We need to stay quiet," she whispered. "But wouldn't that only make the presence above come here?" And then she heard it, a soft scratching, like nails on wood, creeping closer. It was coming from the ceiling where they had entered. Clara's breath hitched. Was it inspecting? Testing? "Mom, what if there's already something down here?" Jacob asked, his small voice trembling. The scratching intensified, echoing ominously. Clara's mind raced, reality slipping between her fingers. Ghosts or something worse. She peered into the darkness surrounding them, dread settling in like an unwelcome guest. There was no telling what waited in the cells of the past beneath the town. "Stay close," she whispered, wanting nothing more than to shield them from whatever horror lurked in the darkness. But suddenly, the flashlight faded to dimness, plunging them into pitch black. Panic surged. Clara fumbled, trying to switch it back on. Heart pounding, she thought she saw movement in the shadows, something hunched and watching. In the silence that followed, a whisper broke through the still air, chilling her to the bone. It spoke her name. Clara. The sound was a hiss, a sinister repetition, echoing in the dark depths. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. "Mom," Lily's voice cracked, fear palpable. The scratching intensified, echoing ominously. Clara's mind raced, reality slipping between her fingers. Ghosts or something worse? She peered into the darkness surrounding them, dread settling in like an unwelcome guest. There was no telling what waited in the cells of the past beneath the town. "Stay close," she whispered, wanting nothing more than to shield them from whatever horror lurked in the darkness. But suddenly, the flashlight faded to dimness, plunging them into pitch black. Panic surged. Clara fumbled, trying to switch it back on. Heart pounding, she thought she saw movement in the shadows, something hunched and watching. In the silence that followed, a whisper broke through the still air, chilling her to the bone. It spoke her name, Clara. The sound was a hiss, a sinister repetition, echoing in the dark depths. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. "Mom!" Lily's voice cracked, fear palpable. The whispers grew louder, merging into a dissonant choir, drowning her thoughts in a frenzy of doom. Clara felt her sanity teetering on the edge. What sought them? What had they awakened? "Over here!" a voice echoed through the shadows, distant yet familiar, piercing her fog of fear. Clay couldn't move. What awaited them in this nightmare? Was safety merely a figment of their imagination? The growl from above returned, this time louder, menacing. The cellar door trembled violently. Clara's breath quickened as her pulse thundered in her ears. Was this how it would end? The door shuddered against the crates, ready to burst open, the shadows closing in around them. The laughter rose again, now mingling with that whisper, her name, pulling the strings of her very soul. "Clara, come play." What would happen next? Would they break through, or would a darker fate await below the town? Darkness pressed in around them, thick and suffocating, as Clara's heart raced with primal fear. She felt trapped, her mind racing as the whispers coiled tighter around her. The voice had been so familiar, yet so distorted. It twisted her stomach into knots. "Mom, what's happening?" Lily's voice quivered, desperate for reassurance that Clara couldn't provide. "I don't know," Clara managed to breathe, her hands trembling as they gripped the flashlight. "But we have to trust." Before she could finish, the flashlight flickered violently and then extinguished completely, plunging them into a void darker than midnight. Panic swelled in her throat. She cursed under her breath, fumbling with the switch, willing it to life, but it remained dead. A sudden crash thundered from the cellar door.
As if an unseen force was testing its strength against the barricade. Clara's heart stalled. They were about to be found. "Get down," she hissed, pushing her children behind her, shielding them from what she feared awaited just beyond the wood. Fear turned her stomach. The growl above rose to a crescendo, deep and monstrous, echoing through the cellar like a beast awakening. The whisper swirled, a chorus of distorted voices now chanting her name in a sickening rhythm, growing louder with each breath. It felt like they were circling, closing in. Then came the scratching again, this time accompanied by a moist, slithering sound. Clara squeezed her eyes shut, tears pricking her lids. She couldn't allow herself to break. "Stay still," she urged, her voice barely a whisper amid the chaos. "Don't move, no matter what." The thumps above had become wild, erratic. Clara could picture it. Whatever lay beyond was angry, desperate to get in. Where was the exit? The stairs? Could they climb back up before it descended upon them? Just then, a cold breeze swept through, carrying with it the stench of decay. Clara recoiled, her skin crawling. It wasn't just the air down here that held the weight of fear. It seemed to pulse with an ancient anger. "Help!" Someone shrieked from above, a voice indistinguishable, yet eerily familiar. Clara's breath caught. It was worse than she'd anticipated. Who was trapped up there, and what awaited her family here? "Clara." The whisper returned, more forceful now, resonant. There was an urgency, a pull. It clawed at her consciousness, tempting, taunting. A voice from long ago, a memory she couldn't quite grasp, like a dream slipping from her grasp upon waking. Suddenly, a sudden rush of wind swept through the cellar, slamming the door against the crates. Clara flinched at the sound, her instincts screaming that they were no longer safe. "Mom!"
Jacob gripped her arm, his nails digging into her skin. "I know," she said, calming herself as the fear threatened to swallow her whole. "We need to stay together. We'll find a way out." But as she spoke, doubt gnawed at her. Was there a way out? Or had they already descended into something unforgiving? The air grew colder, and Clara could feel the eyes watching, lurking just beyond the edges of the darkness. Each breath she took felt like ice in her lungs. "Mom, I heard it again," Jacob whispered, his voice unsteady. "What if it gets us?" Without warning, the door bucked violently, almost bursting open, and the giggles returned, sharper, more sinister than ever. They flared like a knife, slicing through her resolve. Clara swore she heard footsteps coming from the darkness, relentless and cruel. Then, in a single, weakened moment, she realized they weren't alone. The whispers shifted, blending into a single word, a word that froze her veins. "Come." "Stop," Clara shouted, her command echoing back mockingly. "We're not playing games." But the shadows answered with a wave of icy laughter, filling the space with dread. She turned to the kids, her eyes wide with urgency. "We need to move, now." She could feel the darkness pulling, dragging at her feet. They had to escape. But as she rushed toward the small crevice she had seen earlier, a shadow darted by, too quick to register, its form flickering like a dying light. Clara gasped, the grip of terror tightening around her heart. What had they awakened? "Mom, we can't go back." Lily clutched her leg, refusing to budge. "Then we'll find another way," Clara insisted, pulling both her children close as they stumbled through the dimness. Footsteps echoed behind them, flooding her with alarm. But they pressed forward, hope fighting against the encroaching fear. Just ahead was an old door she hadn't noticed before, its hinges rusted, but perhaps it offered a sliver of escape. As she grabbed the handle, it clicked, eerily welcoming. Just then, the shadows quivered, and the whispers rose once more, triumphant and clear. "You can't leave. You belong to us." Her heart raced as the door creaked open, a sliver of light spilling through. What lay beyond? Was it freedom or another layer of torment? Just as they stepped through, Clara turned back, the dark depths swirling ominously. The growl returned, insatiable. And behind her, the laughter faded into a haunting promise. "You will return." What waited on the other side? Would it truly be an escape, or merely another trap waiting to ensnare them? The door swung wide, revealing a narrow corridor, bathed in low, flickering light. Clara squinted, the sudden brightness painfully sharp after the abyss they had just escaped. Her instincts urged her to hesitate, but the tap-tap-tap of something relentless behind them pushed her forward. "Move," she urged, steering her children into the corridor. The air inside was stale, thick with the odor of damp wood and something else, something acrid and metallic, like blood. Lily stumbled as they entered, her foot catching on the uneven flooring. "Mom, it hurts," she whimpered, but Clara couldn't stop, not now. They couldn't afford to slow down. "Just a little further, sweetie, we're going to be okay," Clara whispered, though she didn't believe it. She needed to believe it, for them. The hallway seemed to stretch on forever, its walls shaking with whispers that passed through the air like icy fingertips. "Clara." The voice morphed into dozens, all repeating her name in a dissonant echo that rattled her bones. "Don't listen," Clara urged, trying to drown out the insistent chorus. She turned a corner, her heart pounding against her ribs, feeling the weight of eyes pressing in on them from all sides. Each step echoed like a funeral dirge. Just ahead, dim light flickered from a doorway. It appeared to shimmer with an inviting warmth. Clara paused, gazing at the anemic glow. "Is that—" "Mom," Jacob said, relief palpable in his voice. "Maybe it's a way out." But as Clara brought her hand toward the door,
Icy winds swept through the hallway, extinguishing light like a match. The comforting warmth vanished, replaced by an even more profound darkness. "Stay close," Clara shouted, pulling them in closer, her body tense and alert. "Don't let go." The whisper swelled into a frenzied clamor, punctuated by that deep growl, "Closer now." Panic gripped her chest like a vice. They couldn't linger. She had to keep moving, to keep them safe. "Mom," Lily squeaked, tears glistening in her wide eyes. "What is that? I can feel it." A chilling realization washed over Clara as an unseen force pressed against her from behind. "It wants us," she gasped, barely able to steady her breaths. "We have to keep moving." She stumbled forward, pushing her children ahead of her into a small alcove that jutted out from the corridor. It offered scant protection, but felt safer than the oppressive darkness surrounding them. Against the wall, Clara silently counted their breaths, waiting for the growl above to recede. "Mom, what if we're stuck?" Jacob asked quietly, his voice breaking. "No, we won't be," she insisted, her voice taut with desperation. "We're going to make it." Suddenly, the sensation of something sliding against the walls made her skin crawl. Clara's mind raced. What if the whispers and the suffocating darkness weren't just the result of fear? What if this was something real, something she couldn't fight? "Look!" Lily pointed frantically toward a faint shimmer at the end of the alcove. Clara squinted. It was an object, a mirror, cracked and dulled, leaning against the wall. Its surface reflected shadowy outlines of more figures, more wild, twisted forms lurking just beyond their own. The growl escalated behind them, vibrating the walls. "Clara," the voices coaxed, "come, join us." "Mom, I'm scared." Jacob clung to Clara's side, his body shaking. The voices crescendoed, drowning the sound of her heartbeat, mingling into a horrifying chant that pricked at her sanity. And then Clara turned sharply toward the mirror, her heart racing, driven by a sudden surge of fury. "We will not belong to you," she screamed, raising her fist to shatter the fragile glass. As she brought it down, a bone-shaking roar resounded through the corridor, shaking every fiber of her being. The air crackled with energy. Would breaking the mirror free them, or shatter the last remnants of safety they had? In that moment of madness, Clara had no way to know. But the shadows writhed closer, and she knew they had to act before it was too late. "Lily, Jacob, hold on," she cried, as she lunged forward, preparing to strike the mirror. What new horrors awaited them with the shatter of glass? Would they unleash a greater terror, or finally break the chains of the darkness? The mirror shattered into a cascade of glittering shards, each fragment like a jagged tooth grinning back at them. The sound echoed down the corridor, a sickening crack that vibrated through Clara's body. Instantly, the air thickened, a suffocating weight that clawed at her throat. In that brief moment of chaos, Clara caught a glimpse of what lay beyond the shards, a scene unfolding not just in the hallway, but inside her mind. She saw a flicker of light, shadows waltzing around whispers, faces twisted in pain and longing. They reached out through the fractured glass, desperate to escape. "Mom, no!" Jacob cried. But it was too late. The creature behind them roared, a sound so primal it rattled eyes loose in their sockets. A shockwave rushed toward them as the shadows converged, breaking the calm before a storm. Clara's heart raced. "Run!" she yelled, grabbing both children. They bolted from the alcove, back into the corridor where the malignant growl gnawed hungrily at their heels. The hallway morphed around them. Walls writhed like they were alive, distorting and stretching, closing in with every frantic step. Clara pressed her children against her body, her heart drumming in frantic rhythm of fear and adrenaline. "Where do we go?" Lily whimpered. "Just follow me," Clara shouted, her voice barely cutting through the cacophony of growling and whispering that quelled all thoughts of escape. They turned another corner, and darkness engulfed them. Not just absence of light,
but something tangible and cold, like a wet blanket pulling them under. Then they hit something hard, a sudden block. Clara stumbled back, her breath hitching in her throat. No door, just a wall where there had once been an exit. No, no! Panic clawed at her, and she spun, searching for another route, but the way was swallowed by oncoming shadows. The growl morphed again, shifting to something far more human, a raspy, breathless voice emerging from the void. "Clara, join us." "Shut up! Just shut up!" Clara screamed, her fists clenched at her sides, the agony tightening her chest. The air hummed with life, flickering visions of past horrors caressing the edges of her sanity. Incandescent faces of those trapped before her danced in her mind. Lily's sobs pierced through the tumult. Clara looked down. Her daughter's face was pale, terror-stricken. "We can't let them in. They want to take us." Jacob clutched Lily's arm, his eyes darting to the looming shadows. "Mom, we can't go back. Please." Clara felt her ground slipping. She needed a plan. The fragments of the mirror on the floor whispered to her, a promise of escape and a warning all at once. "Trust me," she gasped, taking a step towards the swirling darkness. There had to be something more, a way through it. Clara raised her voice, desperation pouring from her lips. "If we can find the light, if we can see them, we can fight." Suddenly, as if responding to her desperation, the whispering intensified, swirling in a tempest around them. The shadows writhed harder, as though they were trying to reject her claim. Clara felt a tickle of hope. "Lily, Jacob, close your eyes. Remember your happiest moments." The growl faded slightly, the suffocating aura lightening as they thought of playful days. Clara began
to hum their favorite melody, a tune that echoed from simpler times. As they sang together, the darkness flickered. In flashes, memories of sunlight and laughter broke through. But then, an icy grip seized her throat, fingers like iron pulling her backwards. "Join us," the voice rasped, now filled with malice. A vision exploded in Clara's mind, and she staggered, losing her balance. Would this newfound light guide them, or would it melt away, leaving them lost forever? Desperation tightened her grip on the children. "Hold hands, we don't let go, together." As they sang and hand in hand they fought, the corridor began to tremble, shadows quaking at the edges of the dimming light. But with each flourish of hope, a fracture snaked through the very fabric surrounding them. And then Clara realized the shadows pulsed, responding to their song. Their final chance hung above them like the sword of Damocles. Would their voices unite to break through the suffocating blackness, or would they become the next lost souls, forever tangled in the horrors of the past? The next moment, everything faltered, and Clara braced herself for the chaos overtaking them. What awaited in the darkness, and could it snatch their fleeting hope away? The darkness throbbed around them, pressing in as Clara clutched Jacob and Lily tightly. Each second stretched endlessly, like a shadow under a fading sunset. They huddled together, their hearts thrumming in chaotic unison, the melody of hope still echoing in the corners of their minds. But hope felt distant now, smothered by the weight of despair that enveloped them. Suddenly, the shadows pulsed more violently, as if recognizing their defiance. Clara fought against the creeping dread pooling in her stomach. "Think of the light," she urged, her voice trembling, strained by the clawing doubt that filled the air. She squeezed her children's hands harder, willing them to hold on to the flickers of joy that had kept them battling the encroaching void. But the darkness had its own will. It coiled around Clara, swirling with each wavering note, growing bolder as whispers turned into frantic screams. "Join us, embrace the dark," the voice now boomed, echoing like a death knell, a chorus of the damned, taunting her from every direction. Lily shrieked, "Mom, what do we do?" The innocence in her question stirred something deep inside Clara, reigniting the fire of determination. "Stay close, we can't listen to them," she shouted, forcing her feet to shuffle forward. At that moment, she thought she spotted it, a glimmer in the thickening shadows, a potential path illuminated by hope's reluctant light. Was it an illusion, or could they reach it? "We go towards the light," she asserting, more to herself than her children, who were already trembling. Together, they moved further into the maze of dark, each step taken simultaneously, with whispered regrets clawing at their minds, shadows taunting and altering reality. As they pressed on, walls of shadow seemed to grow narrower, almost suffocating them. Clara felt the air grow thicker, every breath a labor. The claustrophobia threatened to steal her sanity, but she thought of the shard's reflections, the faces reaching out for escape. "They want to claim us," she breathed. "We'll fight. We won't let them win." Jacob's voice broke through. "Mom, I see it! The light!" It was faint, like a star peeking through thick clouds, but it was something real. With a burst of energy, Clara propelled her children toward the glow. The shadows writhed around them, the screams crescendoing, desperate fingers reaching from every angle, grasping for life. "Don't look away," she yelled. But as they drew closer, the light morphed into something disquieting. It flickered like a dying ember, illuminating not just a way out, but revealing distorted figures tightly woven into the darkness, merging with it, shapes twisted and broken. Their faces were an echo of anguish, the very souls Clara had glimpsed before, forever ensnared. "Join us," the voices harmonized, seductive and twisted. Clara staggered, her conviction trembling against the overwhelming tide. "No, we will not join you," she roared, eyes blazing as she pushed forward with the children. Each heartbeat echoed in her ears, the shadows pulling back ever so slightly in response to her fierce cry. Then she saw it, a door, barely framed in the light, a narrow threshold of salvation. Clara threw herself against it, the urgency of escape igniting a surge of hope. But the shadows clung desperately to her legs, a relentless grip dragging at her heels. "Mom!" Lily cried, her voice pitched high with panic. "Push through, now!" Clara shouted. They were so close, the warmth of the light wrapping around her, urging her forward. But the darkness coiled tighter like a constrictor, ready to strike. With one final grinding effort, she flung the door open, and a blinding light surged in, flooding their vision. But as they stumbled forward, voices shrieked behind them, despairing. "You cannot leave! You belong to us!" They plunged into the light, but Clara felt a cold chill creep over her heart, a question echoing in her mind. Had they truly escaped, or was this just the beginning of a nightmare they couldn't comprehend? Then, just as the threshold closed behind them, Clara stepped fully into the light, but a sharp pain shot through her shoulders, as if something wanted to pull her back. She gasped. What had she unleashed? The questions danced in her mind like phantoms. And then, darkness enveloped them again. What lay in wait on the other side of that door? And had their true battle only just begun? They landed on solid ground, but the light flickered, leaving them in a dim, disorienting haze. Clara blinked, her heart pounding in her chest. "Where are we?" she breathed, scanning the new environment. The room held a strange, musty scent, as if it hadn't been disturbed in years. Old furniture loomed around them, a weathered couch, a cracked mirror that reflected nothing but shadows, and dusty drapes that barely filtered in. The outside world's light. Panic clawed at her throat. "Are we safe?" Jacob's grip tightened around her arm. "It feels wrong," he whispered, his eyes wide, pupils dilated. "Maybe we should have stayed in the dark," Lily said,
her voice trembly and small. "No!" Clara's voice rose, full of shaky resolve. "We came through together. We can't turn back now." But doubt washed over her like a chilling tide. This sanctuary felt more like a trap. A faint scratching came from the wall behind the mirror, like nails on glass, and Clara stepped back, pulling her kids with her. "Did you hear that?" "I want to go home," Jacob cried, terror spilling from his eyes. Lily trembled against her. "Mom, I don't like it here." "No!" Clara's voice rose, full of shaky resolve. "We came through together. We can't turn back now." But doubt washed over her like a chilling tide. This sanctuary felt more like a trap. A faint scratching came from the wall behind the mirror, like nails on glass, and Clara stepped back, pulling her kids with her. "Did you hear that?" "I want to go home," Jacob cried, terror spilling from his eyes. Lily trembled against her. "Mom, I don't like it here." The scratching intensified, morphing into frantic thuds. Clara's heart raced. What was making that noise? The shadows loomed larger, crawling from the corners like dark ink spreading on paper. "Stay close," Clara ordered as she moved toward the door, desperate to escape this place. Her breath quickened. Each step echoed in the eerie silence, reverberating like a heartbeat against the creeping dread. Just as she reached for the knob, the door slammed shut, reverberating through her bones with an unsettling finality. "No, no!" she screamed, yanking at the handle, but it wouldn't budge. "Mom!" Jacob's voice cracked, filled with newfound urgency. "What's happening?" The whispers from the darkness returned, slithering into her ears. They were inviting, tantalizing. "You've brought them here. Let them join you," they hissed, wrapping around Clara's mind like a fog, threatening to pull her under. "No!" Clara shouted. "We're not going back. You don't own us." A low growl emanated from the shadows, like a predator sensing weakness. Clara turned, facing the wall opposite the mirror. The air thickened, the weight of unseen eyes boring down on her. Then, suddenly, the mirror glowed faintly. An image began to form, a face emerging from the darkness, twisted and anguished, lips moving but no sound escaping. Clara felt her breath catch in her throat. Who was it? An unfortunate victim like them? "Mom!" Lily whimpered, clutching Jacob tighter. "Get us out of here!" The face in the mirror contorted, forming a silent scream. Clara's pulse quickened. Tears threatened to spill as she realized this face belonged to someone she recognized. It was her mother, lost after all these years. "Mom!" she gasped. "Help me!" Her mother's voice wailed from the depths of the mirror, echoing with torment. "Let me in, Clara!" Panic surged through Clara's veins. This was a moment she had both dreaded and longed for. The shadows writhed and twisted, greedily preparing to reach through the mirror. Clara's heart hammered. She could either face the horror behind her mother's guise, or succumb to the darkness surrounding them. "Mom, don't fall for it," Jacob shouted, breaking through the chaos. Clara shook her head, instinctively pushing back against the allure. "No, we can't. We need to be strong." But the shadows roared behind her, a flood of claws and whispers, eager to claim them all. Clara's mind spun, adrift in the chaos of grief and fear. Somewhere deep inside her, the desire to save a loved one battled the drive to protect her children. What would she choose in this suffocating moment? As she wrestled with her thoughts, the energy around them shifted. The walls began to pulse. Were they alive? The air thickened and churned, as if the very foundation of this place were collapsing beneath them. Clara's breath quickened. "We have to find another way out." The specter of her mother's face faded behind the mirror, just as a roiling shadow surged toward her. Desperation surged like a tidal wave. Behind the mirror, Clara perceived a glimmer, a real escape, a fleeting hope. But was it worth the risk?
With mounting dread, Clara turned to her children. "We need to fight." Suddenly, the mirror shattered like glass, and Clara felt herself sucked into a merciless vortex of darkness. Could they break free from the past, or would the shadows drag them down into a requiem of despair? Clara staggered, the world spinning as they spiraled through the shadow-wrapped void. The darkness clawed at her, threatening to tear them apart, to shred the very fabric of spirit and hope. But she refused to let go. She gripped her children tightly, their warmth anchoring her amidst the chaos. "Hold on," she yelled, her voice barely a thread against the howling winds of despair. As they spun, flashes of light danced in the corners of her vision. Memories, glimmers of moments that defined who they were. Laughter at the river, warm sunlight filtering through autumn leaves, whispered bedtime stories. And then, in a blink, they crashed against a hard surface, a jarring end to the tumult. Clara gasped for breath, her lungs burning, and her heart pounding like a wild drum. Slowly, her surroundings began to stabilize, the shadows dissolving into wisps that evaporated with every breath she took. They were outside, in Maplewood. Stunned, Clara looked around. The familiar sights of their town loomed before them, splashed with twilight hues, as though nothing had changed. The diner stood brightly lit at the end of the street, and she almost laughed at the normalcy. But the sensation of being threaded through the veil of nightmares still clung to them. "Mom?" Jacob's hesitant small voice broke through the stillness, his eyes wide and searching. "Are we safe?" Clara knelt before her children, cupping their faces with trembling hands. "I think so. I think we made it." Lily's eyes fluttered, glistening with unshed tears. What about all the scary things?" "Mom deserves to be with us," Jacob said softly, the innocence in his tone grounding her. Clara swallowed hard, recalling the face in the mirror, the voice of her mother. The guilt gnawed at her insides. "We're free now," she said finally, firming her resolve. "Together we survived." But as they stood in the